What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. If you enjoy then please like, share and do comments. Naruto Uzumaki felt his conscience return to himself as his eyes snapped open while looking around. What in the? Naruto muttered to himself confusedly while turning his head rapidly to look at the throne room in front of him. It was massive and never in his mind would think the afterlife was a fancy castle like this. Naruto Uzumaki, the Nanaidem Hokage of the village hidden in the leaf, Konoha had passed away after being the leader of his village. Naruto himself couldn't believe that he could live that long and his appearance still stayed the same. He had a great life, now he could rest in peace in the afterlife. Leaving everything to Boruto, Sumire Uzumaki now and Himawari, Naruto had taken his departure at the age of 78 years old. Wait, if this is the afterlife then, Naruto taken a deep breath before roaring with all his might, Hinata. Oi, where are you, Hinata? The blonde roared with all his might. Screw that, he screamed her name like he never screamed before. I'm here, Hinata. He had made a promise with her that he would come to find her when his time came. Hinata had gone before him 9 years, but he heard that time passed different in the afterlife, so maybe she just came here a second ago and now he would find her. He would find her no matter what. 9 years without Hinata was something Naruto would never want to endure again. I will find you, Naruto grinned before beginning to run, she definitely around here. You won't find her here, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto stopped dead on his track when he heard that familiar voice. Slowly turning around, the blonde widened his eyes when he saw the floating old man with that black staff behind him, with horns and all. Wah, Hagoromo Oji-san. Naruto pointed his finger to the old man with a freak-out face. Good to see you again, Gaki, Hagoromo Otsutsuki said with a small smirk. So this is really the afterlife. Naruto then blinked once when he remembered what the Rikudo Sennin had said. Wait, what do you mean I won't find Hinata here? It couldn't be possible, right? This was the afterlife, because she already taken the next step, and reincarnate. What? Naruto felt like his world had been shattered right in front of him and fell to his knee with his eyes wide in shock. Shish. She already move on. Yes. The hermit said, you must understand that it was a hard choice for her, but she wanted to be with you forever and taking the next step was the only way she got. What do you mean by that? Naruto asked in confusion while stepping up. He might be an idiot, as Sasuke always said when they had some short reunion with each other, but he could see that from the way the hermit said, there might be a reason behind it. Follow me, Hagoromo said before turning around and flew away slowly. Yeah right, Naruto put his hands into his pocket and began to walk alongside with the hermit of 6 paths. When they reached the outside of the castle, Naruto looked around and saw it was a wide area that filled with glass and plants alike. What is this place anyway? It didn't match anything he had heard about. This place was supposed to be filled with dead souls like him, maybe some angels. This is the afterlife. Naruto glared at the hermit because he just said the oblivious. However, this place is for those who had done so many great things in their life. Someone like you, the child of prophecy. What about Sasuke? Or Sakura-chan? Naruto asked. They came to the different place, though I'm not so sure about your best friend. The sage of the 6 paths shook his head. He probably there with Sakura-chan. Naruto grinned, making the hermit to look at him. I'm sure of it, Naruto said with a firm tone. His best friend, Sasuke, definitely there with Sakura and their friends. What about Hinata? Naruto asked. She was here, and she had reincarnated into Hinata Hyuga. Reincarnate. Naruto Uzumaki, Kami-sama sent me here to tell you that you have been given a second chance. The hermit said with a small smile on his lips. If anyone deserved a better life, it was Naruto. He had been watching the boy here since their last encounter and couldn't help but agree with the creator of the world. Hee, can you say it again? Naruto said, grinning with his hand rubbing each other. If the hermit knew how to face palm, he sure would. This boy sure reminded him too much about how Ashura had been. Like I said, you're given a second chance, of being Naruto Uzumaki once again. Naruto widened his eyes in shock at that. It couldn't be possible, right? He knew about reincarnated, but never knew there was a way to reincarnate into themselves again. Wait, into myself? Naruto asked. What does it mean? You will once again reborn at Naruto Uzumaki, but not just as Naruto Uzumaki but Naruto Namikaze. The blonde dropped his mouth to the ground in shock. You will be reincarnated into a different world, a parallel world. Different from your world yet at the same time will remain the same. However, there are some possibility that may happen there. The hermit pointed his hand toward the sky, making a large image appeared in front of him. It was the image of his mother and father, and they were 3 babies? Naruto cried out in shock. Yes, his father was holding a small child, definitely a boy with whisker mark, red hair, while his mother was holding a twin, definitely girls. They also had red hair just like their mother. Are you kidding me? They're your no Naruto Namikaze's sister. The left one is his older while the right one are younger. They are triplet in one way. Naruto swallowed hard. He was surprised, really surprised. He always wondered what it felt like to have younger or older siblings. But there were another possibility that his parent was alive as well. If they could take a picture with their children with a happy smile like that, which mean Obito never attacked Konoha in the first place, or he had. But his father managed to stop him as well as Kurama. You will be reincarnate into that boy, Naruto Namikaze. Wait, time out, Naruto suddenly said, pointing at the young boy. I can't take away his life like that. He have his parent, siblings. I envy him, yes, but that is it. I can't take away the life he's living no matter what. He's going to die. Naruto stopped and looked at the hermit with wide eyes, at the age of 10 under Mizuki's hand. What? Naruto spluttered. It can be happened. What about Iruka-sensei? He wasn't there that day. The hermit shook his head. Someone else found you. What about my father? Surely he will. His father was the fastest and one of the most powerful shinobi when he was still alive, right? He didn't make it in time. The hermit did the same. He and your mother killed Mizuki out of rage. Then there were only silence. Naruto was too shocked to handle such information. He wasn't that boy, but he felt bad for him. His soul is living his body, and your soul will be the one who replace it. The sage said, you will have the second chance in your life, a more happy life, as well as the chance of saving the people you cared about. Maybe you can stop some events from happen as well. The sage said seriously, aim with your knowledge, as well as power. You can save more than just the life of your friends, but also once again save the shinobi world from its doom sooner than ever. Naruto stood wide eyes at the statement the hermit just told him. He could save everyone this time. Neji, Pervy Sage, or even Obito and Nagato as well. He could save everyone. A smile slowly spread out on Naruto's face. He could also save Sasuke as well. He could stop his best friend from leaving Konoha to find power. Sakura might never have to suffer the pain of losing him for many years again. And Hinata, if what the hermit said about her was true, then that means she had become Hinata Hyuga of that world. He will be able to make up for her the time she secretly supported him when he was small. He was an ass from bad then for not able to see her feeling, but not now. Of course, the decision is. I will, Naruto said firmly with a small smile. I will become Naruto Namikaze, and save Elemental Nation once again. I'm sure you will, Gaki. The sage smiled, and beside him, a gate emerged from the ground and slowly opened. Before you go, Naruto, I must tell you this. The more you interfere in this world, the more it will change. If it changed too much, even you won't be able to know what happened next, and there were the possibility that you will lose someone if you are careless. And unlike you, Hinata Hyuga doesn't have the memories of her past life. She's still the same? She's still the same, the hermit repeated, but this time it wasn't a question. Alright, the blonde grinned. Take this, the hermit handed Naruto his staff, making the blonde eyes turned wide in shock. When the time comes, Sayuri Uchiha will receive the other half of my power as well. You two will fight side by side, and hopefully this time, it won't be my mother. Who is Sayuri Uchiha? Naruto asked, wondering why he called Sayuri instead of Sasuke. She is Sasuke's younger sister and one who is transmigrant of Indra Chakra in this universe, Hagoromo replied calmly. Oh, I see, it's Sayuri this time, not Sasuke. Nodding to himself. Thank you, Oji-san. Naruto smiled and took the staff. What about Kurama? I know you will ask, Hagoromo smirked mysteriously. You will know when you come there. Naruto nodded before stepping in front of the opening gate. What about my family? Do they love him and his sister? Naruto's eyes widened slightly when the hermit looked down sadly. Your sister, yes, because they inherited you father talent, but Naruto Namikaze. I understand, Naruto grinned broadly. This Naruto won't be just your second chance but also their second chance as well, to redeem themselves, the hermit said. Oji-san, I want to meet with Naruto Namikaze's soul before replacing him, so at least I have proper knowledge of his family. Will it be possible? Naruto asked hesitantly. As stubborn as always, the sage released a sigh. Okay, when you enter in that dimension you will meet his soul, but only when he will be on the verge of death. But don't regret that you did it, because even I can't tell whether he will accept it or not. Hagoromo said sternly. Alright geez. Naruto winced. You're so hard, Oji-san. Don't worry, I will do my best to convince him. Now there one more thing before you go. Naruto turned around when he was about to step inside the gate. What's it? Don't cut your hair, it made you look ridiculous. Well, and the blonde stepped inside the gate, ready to redo everything again. And this time, he wouldn't let any of his friends or anyone die. Not on his watch. Real world, an hour ago. With this, Sama will have to acknowledge me. Naruto Namikaze smirked when he jumped from tree to tree, getting away from Hokage residence as far as possible. His back was carrying the giant scroll of sealing, which he just stole right under his father's nose by transforming into a naked version of his mother, knocking the man out immediately with a massive nosebleed. Serve his right, Naruto thought to himself. He loved his family dearly, but the way they all focused their attention to Naruto and Minami had gotten to his nerves since the day they was young. They were geniuses, yes, but if at least his father and mother could teach him a jutsu or two, or even how to fight, he wouldn't fail the exam 3 times and now had to do the special test to get his head protector. A sad smile crossed the only son of Namikaze, it just that he didn't understand why he still loved them, after they hadn't been there for him most of his life. His older sister, Minami, was a total bitch to him. She made all the prank and then told everyone he did that. When he wanted to eat ramen, she chose Dango, and their parent always listened to his sister, not him. At the same time, Naruto, Minami twin, and his younger sister completely ignored him, and looked at him like he didn't exist at all. His father always busy and barely home, but every time he was home, he always said how proud he was to have 2 genius and talent students and trained them with the most powerful techniques Namikaze clan got. His mother, he didn't know what to say anymore. Like Naruto, she ignored him. When she actually paid attention to him, it was always the scolding from all the pranks Minami famed on him. He was their son, yet the same time wasn't. Minato had no idea how Naruto wished to hear those words from his father. Today was his birthday. While everyone celebrating Minami and Naruto's birthday, he had to come here to do the test Mizuki-sensei had given him, or else he wouldn't be made a genin of Konoha. Naruto stopped at a wide clearing and sat down, unsealed the scroll and read. Kage, Bushin no Jutsu? The young boy read. Sound interesting, maybe I should? But before the red-haired boy could begin to learn the jutsu, a kunai stabbed itself down to the ground in front of him, where his hand was a millisecond ago. Wide eyes in shock, Naruto looked up to find the one who threw it, only to be kicked directly in the face by a familiar red head. There you're Naruto Teme, Minami Namikaze shouted as she looked at the whimpering form of her so-called little brother, holding his bloody nose. You ruined my birthday by stealing Sama's important scroll, she cried out before kicking him in the stomach. Why don't you leave us alone? You're just the pain in the ass to me, to Naruto, and to our parent. She stomped her foot on her younger's stomach and glared down at him. Next time you do something like this, I'm sure I will beat the hell out of you. I'm a chunin, while you, never mind that, she pointed at her forehead protector before giving him another kick. Stupid, Minami turned around to pick up the scroll and put it on her back. But before she could take the walk back to her house, the redhead chunin jumped out of the way just in time. A large massive windmill shuriken flew past her head. Minami pulled a kunai out from her kunai pouch and took a fighting stance. Well, if it isn't the genius daughter of Hokage-sama. The arrogant voice belonged to Mizuki made Minami snapped her head up and saw her attacker. The white-head bastard that always tried to hit on her despite the fact that he almost double her age, standing tall on a tree's branch with a smirk and a shuriken, as big as the previous one on his back. You're the one that made Naruto steal the scroll, aren't you? Minami asked with a cold tone. Why yes I'm dear, Mizuki smirked as he slowly taking the shuriken from his back. That child is so priceless. Beg me to let him become a genin just so he could make his dear father proud. But it didn't matter now because I will kill you and take that scroll to Orochimaru-sama. Orochimaru? Minami snarled. She recognized that name from her father's teaching. You work for him? That's right. Mizuki began to spin the windmill in his hand. It's a real shame that I have to kill you, Minami-chan. But for the sake of my future power, your life end here. TCH, what made you think you can be? But Minami didn't have the chance to finish that sentence because wires suddenly appeared around her and wrapped tightly around her body, some even tight enough to draw blood from her skin. What the hell? Minami cried out as she fell to the ground in a dull thud, her arms clapped tightly against her body. Now, do you think that I'm really stupid enough to take on you without any preparation? Mizuki laughed arrogantly. You see, this is the place I said I will meet him, and of course just ink as anyone found him. I put some traps around the place. He brought his hand back and was about to launch the weapon, so goodbye Minami-chan, and he threw the shuriken. Time seemed to stop around them as Minami watched the shuriken got close to her. Her eyes were wide and her body frozen in shock. She could cut the wires that were holding her down using the kunai she was holding, but she couldn't move an inch of her body. She was just being promoted to Chunin yesterday, the first time she faced a life and death situation without her sensei. Faintly, she could hear the sound of her parent and youngest sibling nearby. Turning her head to the side, she saw her father, the Yondaime Hokage of the Leaf Village, as well as his wife, Kushina Uzumaki, along with her sister Naruto, trying to get to her as fast as they could. Her father brought his hand back to throw his famous tri-prongs kunai, but she knew it was too late. The shuriken had gotten too close. Closing her eyes, Minami readied for the pain of getting impaled by a windmill shuriken. Yet the pain never came. The only thing she felt was something like drops of water dropping on her face. Opening her eyes slowly, she felt her eyes widened in total shock and began to tear up. Their parent gasped in horrification while her sister looked at the scene with eyes wide. Hey there, Ne-sama. Naruto was on top of her, with a blade of the windmill shuriken impaled into his back, poking out on his chest, just millimeter above his heart. He was smiling down at her, his face bloody because of the kick she gave him, and he was crying. Why? Minami spluttered, tears fell from her eyes. What are you saying, Ne-sama? Naruto coughed a mouthful of blood on Minami's face, but she paid no mind. You're myfa, Miley. No matter what happened, I don't care if Tu-sama and Ka-sama ignored me. More tears fell from Naruto's eyes. I just want to be acknowledged by my family. Naruto's body then went limp and fell down to Minami's chest. She couldn't hear his heartbeat or his breath any longer. Unconsciously, after cutting the wire around her arms, she wrapped them around his neck and hugged him as tightly as she could. What had they done? Ha ha ha, what a touching moment. Mizuki roared out in laughter. That blade of mine have a very special potion. Even the one with Kyuubi's chakra couldn't heal as fast as normal. Let alone the one holding his soul. He laughed. He killed the son of Hokage. But before Mizuki could continue to celebrate his achievement, two shadows appeared before and behind him with murderous intent in their eyes. In a clean and lightning-fast movement, Mizuki's head fell to the ground under the blades of Kushina and Minato's kunai. Naruto. Minami's cry of pain immediately alerted the parent. They turned around and got to their children with tears-filled eyes and painful heart. Minami was crying her heart out while hugging the limp body of her brother, who until now hadn't received any real sibling's love from her. Kushina fell to her knees before the painful scene in front of her. She couldn't bear it any longer. She couldn't call herself a mother for what she had done to her own flesh and blood, her only son. The world shattered around her like a broken glass. Heartbeat. Minato Namikaze, the Yondai Hokage of Konohagakure, looked up from the ground with wide eyes. He could hear it, his son faint heartbeats. Maybe there was a chance of saving his son. He's still alive, Minato said, making his family turn their head to him. We need to bring him to the hospital now, he said as quick as he could. Their son's life was going away with each second passed. There were no time for crying and regretting now. Minami, give him to me, quick. His oldest daughter quickly handed Naruto over her father. In a blink of an eye, he disappeared in a flash of yellow. Ka-sama, will Ne-sama alright? A teary Naruto asked as she kneed down beside Minami, helping her sister free herself from the wires around her ankles. I don't know, Naruto-chan. I don't know, Kushina whispered quietly, wiping the tears away from her eyes. As soon as her daughter was freed from her binding, the three of them quickly got to Konoha's hospital. The first thing they saw was Minato sitting on a chair before the emergency surgery room. burying his face into his hands. Minato-kun, Kushina called out to her husband. Kushina-chan. Minato looked up from his hands and immediately stood up and wrapped his arms around her. Is he going to be fine? Kushina asked with a shaky tone. She was scared of losing her own son. It's going to be fine. Tsunade-sama is here. The rest of the Namikaze widened their eyes in shock at that. The legendary Sannin was here, which meant that there was still a chance that they could save Naruto. Their oldest daughter then fell to her knee on the ground, furiously wiping the tears from her eyes while Naruto trying to comfort her sister. Meanwhile in Naruto's spiritual mindscape, Naruto Namikaze was surprised to feel the relief from his body. He is happy that at least he was able to rescue her sister Minami. Now everyone will be happy. But young Namikaze was asking himself, where am I? His question were answered by a voice which belongs to an Uzumaki. In your spiritual mindscape, he replied. Who are you? Namikaze asked worriedly. He was beyond surprised of what he saw. He saw his own reflection of at least more mature self who must be in his 20s. I am Naruto Uzumaki, from a different parallel world. It is my pleasure to meet you. Uzumaki replied. Young Namikaze was stunned and was worried for what is going on. He asked him, what is happening to me? Uzumaki had a sad look on his face. Gaining strength in his heart he replied, Naruto Namikaze, you are on the verge of death. You are able to survive because of the presence of my soul in your body. Soon you will die and will be sent to pure world. Hearing those words Namikaze began to cry. He had not thought that he will die at such early. Hearing this he began to cry more. He had lot of dreams. He wanted to become ninja so he can prove his time that she was right to believe in him. Gaining strength in his heart he asked the question, why are you here Oni-san? Oni-san you say, Naruto Uzumaki said hesitantly. But the fact that he is same but elder he can be considered his brother. Instead of answering he simply raised his fist in front of him. Namikaze fearfully closed his eyes thinking he is going to punch him. But he didn't feel pain. He opened his eyes and saw that the same fist is still there. He also raised his fist and gently touched it. And then all the events which occurred in Naruto Uzumaki life came in his memory. He also saw that how much his Oni-san had struggled without gaining any family love and being alone in his life. He also saw the reflection of his Haim and him together with their new family. He felt happy that his crush was not on an ordinary girl but who always believed in him just like his Haim. He also witnessed the discussion between an elderly man regarding his efforts and his mission for this world. After gaining that knowledge he was sighing and asked him, so Oni-chan you are here to keep your promise to your Haim and protect my world? Uzumaki simply nodded. I see, then fulfill your duty and do what is right. But promise me one thing, that you will always protect my family and Haim, Namikaze said to Uzumaki. Uzumaki sit to his level and said, I will keep my promises. But what I really want is to live this life together with you. Even though I know it is not possible. What I always wanted is apparent love but now when I am getting it I feel like I am taking away something special from you. Naruto Uzumaki was crying while saying those words. Naruto Namikaze was also crying. He wanted to live with his family. He wanted to confess his feelings for the girl he admired and for the same girl who believed in him. How he wanted to be something special to his Haim. Seeing this someone else entered in their mindscape. The said person was none other than Hagoromo Otosuki. It seemed that you both wanted to live together but feeling guilty for doing it by crushing others' dream. Hagoromo said in a humble voice. Both Naruto became surprised and greeted him by bowing their head. Naruto asked him humbly, Hagoromo-ji-san isn't there any way we can live together? Sage only said these words. I am sorry Naruto Uzumaki but Naruto Namikaze death is already decided by Kami-sama and you are the only one who can save this universe and complete the task which is assigned to me. Both Naruto head dropped comically. But Sage next word gave them a hope. However if you merged with Namikaze Naruto then you will only be able to live by having proper information of his life. He can convey his true emotions from the merging and Namikaze can easily see your adventures from pure realm. So are you willing to accept it? Both Naruto looked at each other and then nodded in agreement. Seeing this Sage told them few things. Since you both are agreeing to this I will tell you that his body is currently going through change to your previous self Uzumaki Naruto. Kurama is also with you but you kinda have to share a room with certain someone. It may take some time for you to wake up, and Naruto Namikaze, you can only watch his life from pure realm, and if you have emotional dissatisfaction with someone you don't like, you will instinctively react in that manner. Namikaze Naruto nodded, and with this he began their merging. When merging is completely done, Uzumaki Naruto, now Namikaze Naruto, turned to send his final greeting to the sage and Namikaze soul. Naruto promised him that he will also live for his sake too. With that, both Sage and Naruto Namikaze left for Pure World, entrusting everything in his hand. Outside the mindscape, in reality, after everything they done to him, he still loved them. Minato, Kushina. The surgery room suddenly opened as the Hokage stepped out from there with a shock expression on her face. Kushina's heart sank when she saw her teacher's bloody hands. Tsunade-sama. Kushina grabbed the legendary Kunoichi's shoulder. Please tell me Sochi is alright. Please tell me he has survived. I don't know, Kushina. Tsunade shook her head. His wound, it suddenly healed up when we pulled the kunai out of him. We hadn't done anything yet. What? It couldn't be possible. They had sealed the chakra into their daughter while the soul into their son. Without its chakra, Kyuubi shouldn't be able to heal Naruto. It's not all, Tsunade then turned around just before the door of the surgery room opened once again. You should see it yourself. The doctors pushed the bed holding Naruto out of the room, making all the members of Namikaze family ran to him. Everyone widened their eyes in shock at what they were seeing. His hair, which used to grow straight down, had become spiky just like his father. The color had also changed as well. Now his hair was bright yellow. The only red color left were at his bangs on each side of his face. Hokage-sama, please pay attention to my words. Shikaku Nara spoke up loudly when the Yondaime Hokage of Konohagakure no Sato once again spaced out, in the 5th times during his report. Oh, my deepest apology, Shikaku-san. Please continue. Minato Namikaze was snapped out of his own thought, quickly straightened himself up on his seat and smiled to his advisor. Shikaku nodded his head while continuing the report. Thought he knew better than anyone else that the blonde Hokage's smile was totally a fake one, and it didn't take him to be a genius to know what he was thinking about. 2 months had passed since the tragic accident of Namikaze family. Their son Naruto Uzumaki was still in a deep coma and didn't appear to wake up anytime soon. The poison, which was the handiwork of Orochimaru, affected him in a way that no one, not even the specialist in medic ninjutsu like Tsunade Senju, could do anything to help him. Granted that she could take most of the poison in his systems out of his body, but most of it was absorbed into his body and put him into a coma. That poison was made special for his daughters, to stop their healing system from working properly, and yet his son was the one who took it, straight through his thin and small body. His son. After Shikaku finished the report and left the room, Minato opened a drawer and pulled out a picture frames from it. It was the picture of his family, taken at Minami and Naruko's 10th birthdays. He was putting his hands on Naruko's sister, as the girl gave her twin sister a big present while Minami was wearing a colorful hat, putting on her head by their mother, Kushina Uzumaki, who was also smiling happily at her children. At the corner of the picture, standing right behind her sister with a soft smile on his face, was Naruto Namikaze, his son. The Yondaime Hokage dropped the picture frames and buried his face into his hand to stop the tear from falling from his eyes. How could he call Naruto his son, when he was an absolute failure of a father? He never realized it before, but now he could see the sadness in his son's eyes whenever he looked into the picture. It was the sadness of being forgotten by his family. Minami and Naruko was twin, but Naruto was the one who was birthed just 9 minutes after his older sister Minami. October 10th was not only Minami and Naruko's birthday, but also Naruto's birthday. And Minato. He couldn't remember he had celebrated any other birthday other than his 2 daughters. Life at Namikaze residence had changed dramatically. Other than the servants of one of the biggest clan of elemental nations, no Namikaze other than himself returned to the place more than half an hour. The place no longer held happiness, no longer filled with laughter, only sadness was left inside. Kushina, his beautiful wife, was now nothing but a wreck. She lost 20 pounds at the first 2 weeks, another 5 shortly after because she barely ate anything these past 2 months. His wife was now very thin, her brown eyes dulled and her hair lost its brilliant color of red. She refused to leave Naruto's side no matter how many times the doctors told her to do so. Kushina could always be found there, holding Naruto's arms and praying for him to wake up. She cried a lot, cried every single night, every single time she was with him, to the point Minato doubted that there were any tears left inside of her eyes for her to cry. Kushina blamed herself for Naruto's condition, even lowering herself down to the lowest kind level whenever she was talking about herself. She said she didn't deserve to be his mother. About Minami, she had come to Minato a week after Naruto's accident and told him everything. From all the pranks she pulled and famed it on her younger brother, to the punches and kicks she gave him whenever he pissed her off, she was also the one forbidden Naruto from playing with Naruto, as she was the only one in their family still care about her brother. To say Minato was angry was an understatement. He punished Minami by grounding her for 2 weeks in her room and took away her forehead protector, saying that she didn't deserve to be a kunoichi of Konoha. The girl silently gave her hite to her father and grounded herself into her room for 2 weeks. If anyone who looked like more of a wreck than Kushina, it was Minami. The only chance for her to ever get her forehead protector back was Naruto. Naruko was a Junin now. The youngest member of Namikaze family had completely shut all the ties between her and her family after Naruto's accident. She also blamed herself for Naruto's condition, saying if she was braver and stronger to stand up to Minami, she would have come and play with Naruto and none of this would happen. His family was falling apart, if not wanted to say already fell apart. It was only luck that he could still in his right mind to keep Konoha going at the strongest village of Elemental Nation. He wanted to do nothing more than come to his son's side and stay there. Stood up from his seat, Minato summoned a shadow clone to do his job for him and used Hirishin to teleport to Konoha's hospital. His wife and eldest daughter was there taking care of Naruto, while Naruko already out of the village to do missions with her team. All he could do right now was keeping his wife and daughter alive and praying for his son to wake up, because he was the only one that could put this fallen family back together once again. Meanwhile with Kushina Uzumaki walked into her son's room with her eyes hollow. Her eyes almost tear up when she looked at the state he was in, but for a woman who cried so much that she once passed out, no more tear was able to form from her eyes. Minami was sleeping on the chair next to Naruto's bed, with a thin cover covering her body. Her daughter was one of the persons that were affected the most by Naruto's condition. She came to Minato one day and told her father everything. Before, Minami hated her brother, because he always tried to steal the attention away from her. For a young teenager, Minami loved to be in the spotlight. She loved to be acknowledged by everyone, especially her parent who made a mistake of spoiling her too much during her childhood. Because Minami and Naruto were the ones who got the most attention from their parent, Naruto tried to copy everything the elder did in order to gain the same amount of attention from his parent. This put a thought in Minami's mind, making the girl think that Naruto was doing that just for pissing her off. She started to hate Naruto from there. She drew a picture about their family and was praised by her. Naruto immediately tried to do the same, but all he got was being compared to Minami's picture, which was way better than him. Minami ate a lot of ramen and was praised by her mother that a young child should eat more in order to grow into a big girl. Naruto tried to do the same, but because in terms of physically, Naruto was weaker than his sister, he ate so much that he had indigestion. Minami got her first lesson with ninja tool, taught by Minato. She managed to hit the dummy in the first try. Naruto tried to do the same later that day, but because he wasn't taught or watched over by adult, all he did was cut his hand because of the shuriken blade. Minami pulled pranks, Naruto pulled pranks. But that was the day everything changed, when Minami famed everything on her brother in order to dodge their parents' wrath. But after everything, she didn't blame her daughter, she blamed herself. Even from the first day of their life, physically Naruto and Minami were both stronger than Naruto. That was the reason why Minato decided to seal Kyuubi's chakra into their daughter, while Naruto got nothing but its soul. Because of this, the twin was taught shinobi skills at a very young age, in order to help them control the powerful chakra of Kyuubi. Her entire focus stayed on the twin and she had completely forgotten about their son. As Minami and Naruto grew in strength, both physically and mentally, they became the top kunoichi of the leaf with the help of their parent. Naruto quickly fell back and faded away from their mind. She was so proud of her daughters, boasting so much with her friends about how smart they were, how powerful they had become. And yet, all that time when she was talking so proudly about her son, she left her son at home starving. She was the worst mother in the world. Scratch that, She didn't deserve to be called a mother after the neglecting she had done to her son. Kasama. Minami woke up from her sleep and looked at her mother. You're back. How's Naruto, Minami-chan? She asked, even though that she knew the answer. He, still like this, the blonde girl said sadly, lowering her face. I see, Kushina whispered and sat down the chair at the right of the bed, shakily taking her son's hand into hers. Naruto, she whispered softly. The door of the room slowly opened and Minato walked in, holding a bag with 3 cups of Ichiraku ramen. Hey Kushina, Minami. Minato called out for his family. Minato. To-sama. Minami greeted her father with a weak smile. I brought some ramen, he said, closing the door behind him. You two should eat something. He walked to the table at a corner of the room and took the cups out of the bag, opening them. I'm fine Minato, Kushina said weakly as she was still holding her son's hands. I don't need that now, she said curtly. No you're not Kushina. Minato turned around and gave his wife the cup with a pair of chopsticks. You need to eat to stay alive Kushina. There is nothing you can't do to help him if you get sick. Her stomach growled at the smell of ramen. But before she could let go of Naruto to take the ramen, Kushina's eyes snapped wide open as she suddenly feel his fingers move within her hands. Naruto, she shouted, making the other members of Namikaze family flinched in shock. A smile made it to their face when Naruto's body stirred slightly and he slowly opened his eyes. In hospital, Ba-chan, can I eat them? Naruto Namikaze asked with a hopeful tone, pointing his hand to the cups of ramen standing on the table at the other side of the room. What with this disrespectful tone, Gaki? Tsunade asked, glaring at him. You're always Tsunade-sama this, Tsunade-sama that. She was giving Naruto an examination, to make sure his body was okay. She grabbed his wrist and outstretched his right arm, using her fingers to pinch his arm, feeling the muscle underneath. What is this sudden change of attitude? Akamon Ba-chan, can you get this over quick? Naruto whined. Okay Naruto, I think you're perfectly fine now. Tsunade let go of his arm and said with a smile. Nothing is wrong with your body, but I think you should stay here for a few more days to make sure that nothing wrong will happen. Great, I'm starving. The blonde shot up to his feet and was about to run to the ramen when suddenly his legs gave off and he fell over. Careful, Tsunade said and grabbed him. Gently lay him back down to the bed. You're in unconscious for 2 months, so your legs are very weak. You're in no condition for walking. She smiled at him. Rest for now, okay? Okay, Naruto nodded his head slowly. Do you want to meet your family Naruto? I'm sure they will. I want to rest right now Ba-chan, he said with an emotionless tone, the kind of tone that shouldn't be used for a child like him. I don't want to meet them. Now why did he say that? Naruto thought inside of his mind. A part of him really wanted to meet his parent, because after all, like the Hermit of Six Paths said, this was the second chance for him in life. This was the world where he had parent, where he had a family that he always wished for when he was small. This would be the place he have a new start. However, another part of him didn't want to have any business with them, his family. Naruto could understand this feeling. It was his other half emotions. He could explain because he felt like there was a voice at the back of his mind telling him what to do. That voice told him to stay away from his parent, from his family because what they had done to him. Plus, he barely knew them. He only knew Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki, the one who sacrificed their life so that he could live, the one who he dreamed to be just as great as. He didn't know the people who were waiting outside, the family of Naruto Namikaze. I understand, Tsunade said softly and turned around to walk out of the room. She wasn't surprised by this, not at all. Naruto closed his eyes and drifted off to his mindscape. If anyone had an answer for this, it would be his partner. Line break. Naruto opened his eyes and once again, he was standing inside the sewer that was his mindscape. Oi, Kurama, are you in here? Naruto shouted, hoping that the hermit would bring his friend back with him too. The last thing he would need would be another hateful version of the nine-tailed fox standing behind those giant bars, wanted nothing more than eat him alive. Naruto. Kurama's voice could be heard at the other side of the door. Damn, I was thinking that. Naruto shouted out happily and ran over to the bar. We have a problem. His eyes nearly bugled out of his socket when he saw Kurama was being pinned down the wet floor by a gigantic foot. His body covered in his own blood, a small part of his fur was being burned away by a strange yellow flame. The mighty Kyuubi, at his strongest form, was being pinned down by yet another nine-tails fox, yet its body structure was very different from Kurama. This one greatly resembled an actual fox, only millions times bigger with 9 big, fury tails. The beast turned its eyes and looked at him. Crimson orbs met azure blue eyes as Naruto stared up at the yellow nine-tails fox standing behind the bar, with Kurama under its feet. It smirked. "Fancy seeing you here, my vessel." And it spoke in a very feminine tone. "Kurama." Naruto shouted and ran past the bars that were keeping not one, but 2 Kyuubi at bay. "How brave of you, human," the yellow Kyuubi smirked as she looked down at Naruto. She raised her other leg and about to smash him like smash a fly when suddenly Kurama's hand shot up, grabbing her wrist. "I won't let you." Kurama roared and pushed the other beast back with his body, quickly getting back to his feet before opening his mouth wide, forming a massive bijudama. "How interesting," the Kyuubi said in amusement, and she took a strong leap, avoiding the destructive orb of destruction heading at her and aiming for the kill. The orb exploded, shaking the entire mindscape of Naruto. The yellow Kyuubi used her tails to shield her away from the explosion, smirking darkly while focusing her glare on Kurama. "I must say, that was quite a technique from a soulless Kyuubi." "This vixen talks too much," Kurama growled, glaring hatefully at the other Biju. Naruto then stomped his foot onto the ground and took a strong leap to Kurama's head. His appearance changed from a child to a fully grown teenager Naruto. Naruto's old Nanaidame Hokage attire appeared on his shoulders as Naruto stood on top of Kurama's head, looking at the other Kyuubi with a steel-hard gaze, crossing his arms his chest. "Perfectly control over mindscape," the yellow Biju said. "So this is how the brat and you look like when grow up?" It was clear to Naruto that this Kyuubi knew about his reincarnation. How? That was the question he was going to find the answer. "You're the Kyuubi of this world, aren't you?" Naruto asked, his voice strong. "I thought you're powerless with your chakra." "Oh please," Kurama's female counterpart. "All Yondaime took from me is my chakra, unlike the weak creature you're standing on top at." She glanced at Kurama and gave him an evil, foxy smirk, making Naruto's partner growled angrily. "I'm an actual Yukai." "You?" Naruto widened his eyes in surprise. If what she said was the truth, this Kyuubi still had her Yuki inside her, the spiritual energy of the mythical creatures only mentioned in bedtime story and fantasy story. Demons like Yukai existed in this world? Naruto thought inside of his head. "My name is Kurahime, the great queen of Makai, the world of demons." The yellow Kyuubi, now known as Kurahime, declared proudly before leaping forward, "And I welcome you, Naruto Uzumaki, to this world." "Get ready, Naruto!" Kurama roared and shot forward as well. The 2 Kyuubi charged at each other with strong and powerful footstep, making the wet ground of Naruto's mindscape shook violently. "I'm going to make you reject stepping past those bars, human." Kurahime roared and dodged to the side, avoiding Kurama's gigantic claws hands before turning her body back with the kind of speed that completely illogical to her size, opening her jaws wide and bit down hard on the orange Kyuubi's arm. "Gah!" Kurama roared out in pain, but used his other hand to punch Kurahime's hard on the top of her head. "Let go, you damn vixen." "Hold still, Kurama." Naruto cried and ran down on his partner's hand, heading to Kurahime's head with a Rasen shuriken in his hand. Kurahime's eyes widened slightly at the massive chakra Fuma shuriken, with the Yondaime's trademark jutsu in the middle, the Rasengan. It was giving off a loud screech-like noise, and it didn't take her long to realize that getting hit by it wouldn't be pretty. The yellow Kyuubi released Kurama's hands and jumped back to avoid the orange Rasen shuriken, but her eyes widened slightly when she saw Naruto stopped on the back of Kurama's hand and brought his hand back. Too late. The blonde shouted, "Kurama," and much to her shock, he threw his attack at her. How can he throw something like that? Kurahime thought inside of her head in shock. Throwing the amount of chakra like that away was the unthinkable. Even for someone like her, moreover. Her eyes widened when her male counterpart opened his mouth and released 4 bijudama, becoming 4 satellites flying around the Rasen shuriken as it approached. As the attack hits the yellow Kyuubi, it exploded, resulting in an enormous dome of blue energy in the midair. Kurama jumped back several feet to avoid the explosion and its shockwave, knowing full well just how powerful his and Naruto's combined attack was. "You think that enough to put her down?" Naruto asked, using his arms to shield his face from the wind. I highly doubt it, Kurama growled. That vixen survived far worse attacks than that. We've been fighting for 2 months now. Wait, 2 months? Naruto asked in shock. You mean? Yes, because of our battle, you're unable to wake up. Kurama said, the energy we both released during our fight seriously weakened your body, making you unable to wake up. If there was something I learned from this fight with her, Yuki is very poisonous to chakra. He was a beast made out of massive chakra. Making Kurahim's attacks very deadly to his body, seriously weakened his body every time he was hit. That was the reason why he could never win over her. Is there anything I should know about? Naruto asked. Yes. She attacked Konoha on her own, Kurama said, and Naruto's eyes widened his shock. Again. And she can use magic. As the explosion disappeared, Naruto could finally get a good look at the female counterpart of Kurama and couldn't contain his surprise when he found in her place was a floating large, yellow sphere. The sphere began to move and Kurahime unwrapped the tails from her body, shooting a large fireball from her mouth at Naruto and Kurama, who dodged to the sides and released a rapid shot Bijudama at her. At the same time Kurahime unleashed another fireball. The attacks collided in midair. Then another explosion took place and shook his mindscape violently. The shockwave sent both Kyuubi back. Kurahime balanced herself on the air and landed down the ground gratefully, once again unleashing her fire. But this time, it was a wave of fire, heading toward Naruto and Kurama with the amount of heat so incredible that Naruto, who was just his own unconsciousness, could feel very clearly. To Navy. Kurama roared and released a mighty roar, powerful enough to blow away the wave of golden fire, dispersed it without a trace. However, what he and Naruto didn't expect was that Kurahime had disappeared from sight. Where is she? Kurama asked, looking around with his eyes wide in surprise. Naruto's original mindscape before he released Kurama from the seal wasn't very big, so it was almost next to impossible to miss something with the size of Kurahime, which was even bigger than Kurama himself. I don't. But Naruto stopped when he heard the sound of something pierced through the air, heading to him. Naruto thought it was some kind of weapon, a shuriken of perhaps a kunai, but he was dead wrong. And he knew it when a fist connected with his face. Naruto! Kurama shouted when Naruto was knocked away from his head and fell to the ground. The mysterious figure raised their leg and kicked Kurama hard on the top of his head with a huge amount of force behind it, sending him back several feet and using it as leverage to shot down to Naruto's falling body. The blonde gritted his teeth and forced his head back with his fist brought back, ready to return the one who attacked him. Only to be met with the most beautiful girl he had ever seen in his life. Naruto was completely lost for words, his body froze in shock. And to make it worse for a male like him, she was completely naked, exposing the most glorious, voluptuous body right in front of his eyes. With dark crimson-red eyes, golden blonde hair with bangs framing her incredible beautiful face perfectly, they formed the most angelic face in existence. And to his surprise, 9 flowing yellow tails behind her and 2 fox-like ears sticking out on the top of her head. Surprise? She cried loudly and punched him in the face again. But this time, she grabbed his collar and twisted her body around, getting to the behind of Naruto as they both landed down to the ground. She got one hand with sharp fingernails around his throat. Naruto gritted his teeth, unable to move because 9 yellow tails wrapped itself around him and her. Naruto. Kurama moved forward, but stopped when the girl pointed her hand at him. Stop right there, Kurama, she cried with an evil smirk, or else I will snap this boy's neck. And even though this was just his consciousness, I promise it will be very painful, Kurama growled and stopped when Naruto starting to choke and bleed around his throat by her nails. Who are you? Naruto asked, a little hard since he was being choked to death. Oh, how awful of you, she whispered into his ear, using her other hand to caress his whiskers' right cheek slightly. It's me, Kurahime, your lovely tenant. Impossible, Naruto said in shock. Wait, possible? Kurahime giggled evilly. Yokai of this world can turn into the form of human if they want to. This is something that can help us blend in the human society quite easily, you see. What do you want? He asked. Can't a girl find her fun? Kurahime whispered hotly into his ear. It was so lonely in here until you and your pet over there appeared. Kurama growled as Kurahime glanced to him slightly. Your counterpart is so pathetic that he ran away immediately after he saw me. Naruto Namikaze? Naruto asked. Oh yeah, him. Kurihime smirked. Her hand moved down to his chest and scratched her claws on it. He's dead now, literally. I am aware of it, Naruto replied to her. Oh, you know? I was trying to revive him with my Yuki, because after all he dies I die. That speech was very familiar for both Naruto and Kurama, though they're in no condition to laugh. But then, you came and one body can't have two souls using it at a time, and did you know what happened? Yeah, we become one, Naruto said. Era, you are aware of it. Kurihime grinned, his soul blended in with you and become you, literally. But because you're stronger, I think you will be the one in charge. You are wrong at that point, Naruto stated. How are you so sure of it? Kurihime asked. What has become one is our emotions. His soul has left for afterlife. If I had a choice in hand I would have allowed him to live his life by entrusting Kurama and my memories to him. But since Kami-sama is involved in this matter I had no choice but to follow it. Naruto replied sadly. Hey, look at the bright side. At least from now on I will have a strong vessel and know what kind of person you will become when you grow up. Her hand moved down and dangerous close to his crotch. Don't get me wrong, human. I got no interest in you. But I think finally I can find some entertainment while being imprisoned in your body. Her hand shot into his pants and grabbed his manhood. Oh, very impressive. But before Naruto could start to enjoy the feeling, Kurihime grabbed both of part of his body roughly. She was having her hands out and ripped him apart. Line break. Gah! Naruto, back at his original world, shouted out and shot up from his bed. His hand immediately put on his hip, the place that he was ripped apart by Kurihime, sweats covering his body. Damn woman. Because originally, I was sealed into Naruto Namikaze's body, not Kurama. Kurihime's voice could be heard from the depth of his mindscape. I'm the one in charge here, so if you start begging me, I will lend you some of the chakra that I am restoring back. Shut it, I don't need your help, Naruto growled, trying to remove the image of her naked body away from his mind, but unable to do so no matter how he tried. Oh how cold, Kurihime said, smirking. Era, such a refreshing feeling, she said as she laid her body down the top of Kurama's head. Get off of my head, vixen. For your friend's own benefit, I think that we should stop fighting. Kurihime jumped, avoiding Kurama's hands before returning to the spot on his head. Even though he didn't want to admit it, Kurihime was right. Fighting again would only cause Naruto's body to weaken even more. So what now? Naruto asked, lying back to the bed. It was lucky that he could only hear her voice, or else talking with Kurihime while looking at her naked glory would be very uncomfortable. Especially when he was back at a teenager boy with raging hormones. Strip off your clothes and come back in here in your adult form, Kurihime said mischievously. Well, at least she is friendlier than Kurama before we became friend, Naruto muttered to himself and closed his eyes, focusing and calling for what he wanted. An orange kimono suddenly appeared from thin air and dropped down Kurihime's head much to her surprise. Orange? Kurihime asked, taking the kimono off her head and held it in her hands. Put it on, Naruto said sleepily, or turn back to your fox form. Well, better than none. The blonde sighed in relief. He was right. Kurihime was much nicer than Kyuubi before they became friend. She was easier than interact even though the level of her mischievousness were unthinkable. He felt very tried right now and needed a good sleep. Mentally shut down the link between him and his mindscape so that the female Kyuubi would no longer bother him. Outside Naruto's room, Tsunade-sama, Kushina stood up from her seat and immediately ran over to the legendary Sannin. How is Naruto? Is he alright? She asked with a hopeful tone. Minato and their daughter also stood behind Kushina, waiting for the good answer from Tsunade. Yes, he's alright, Tsunade said with a smile, making the Namikaze family sigh in relief. His body is perfectly healthy, but Naruto still needs to do some physical treatments in order to walk on his legs again. Thanks Kami, Minami cried in happiness. Wiping away the tears at the corners of her eyes, Naruto is alright. See, can we meet him now, Tsunade-sama? Minato asked, his voice unsure. He got the feeling that his son wouldn't want to have anything to do with them, after everything they put him through. He wouldn't even feel surprise if Naruto actually did. He's resting, Tsunade said emotionlessly and curtly. Naruto's family lowered their head in sadness. I guess it can't be helped, Kushina muttered and stumped back to the chair, sobbing quietly to herself. Now listen here, you young fools, Tsunade said strongly with her hands on her hip, glaring at the so-called Hokage family. This is your second chance to make up to him. I know exactly what you fools did to him when he was small, all the neglect, all the pains and suffers you put him through just because you can't look at anyone other than your genius daughter. Tsunade said that like it was something so disgusting. Make it right this time, or else at one of the Sannin of Konoha, I will do everything in my power to take away your right at his parent, got that? You don't have to tell us anything, Tsunade-sama, Minato said as he wrapped his arms around his wife comfortingly. And you, young lady? Tsunade lowered her head down and glared murderously into Minami's purple eyes. Be a better sister, or else I will make sure that kick you gave him is like a love tap to what I'm about to do to you. Minami gulped and nodded her head rapidly. Kami, wonder why I am still sticking to this family. Tsunade walked away, muttering that to herself. We will make it right, Minato. Kushina suddenly turned to her husband and said strongly. Tears rolled down her cheeks. No more children of prophecy. No more favor over our daughters. We will treat them equal, starting from now, you got that? I understand, Kushina. Minato nodded his head and kissed the top of Kushina's hair. We will make it right this time. Minami sighed sadly, walking toward the door of Naruto's room with her head lowered down in shame. I'm sorry, Naruto, she whispered and put her hand on the door. She didn't know if he could hear her or not. But all she could do right now was giving Naruto all the supports she could give, hoping that he would forgive her for what she had done. Few days later, one step at a time, Naruto, Tsunade Senju said as she gently guided her godson taking his first steps after 2 months in a coma, who was shakily walking on his own feet inside the physical treatments room. His now family was standing outside, looking at him through the window of the physical treatments room. I can do it, Ba-chan. Naruto whined and sped up his movement, which turned out to be a rather bad choice because as soon as he did that, Naruto's shaking legs gave up, making him fell over. Careful, Tsunade said, grabbing Naruto with her arms around his waist. Please listen to my words, Naruto. I know what I am doing, alright? Then she took his hand into hers and started to guide him again, as gently as she could. Naruto cursed out loudly in his mind. There were so many things he had to do and yet here he was, trying to make his legs used to walking once again like a baby learn how to walk. If only Kurahime was a little more cooperated, things would get a lot more faster. Because Kurama wasn't the one who was sealed inside Naruto Namikaze, whose body now belonged to Uzumaki's, he couldn't share his chakra to him so he would heal faster like before. Kurahime was the one in charge and she didn't want to share the chakra she was restoring back to anyone. How parsimonious of her. Ah tilde. But I want to see you crawl, the mischievous vixen said playfully while sitting on the top of Kurama's head, who by far had long since given up on trying to swat his female counterpart away from his head. She might behave a lot nicer than how Kurama used to be, but she was 100 if not 1,000 times more annoying than the fox himself, on the ground, licking my feet. Shut it, vixen, Naruto told her through the link between him and his mindscape. How cold of you, Naruto, Kurahime giggled mischievously. You know if you start begging, maybe I will lend you some of my chakra. Kurama, Naruto, once again ignored her. Can you channel some of your chakra to Kurahime so she can give me some? He asked the fox who was lying on the floor with his head resting on his hands. That's the point, Naruto. The orange fox only growled back when Naruto appeared in his mindscape and looked at his partner, with Kurahime on top of his head. She didn't want to help, in any way. As if she wanted to mock then, Kurahime turned around with her body outstretched, sighing in satisfaction as she buried her face into Kurama's soft fur. The kimono she was wearing was lifted up, exposing her entire bubble ass, which teasingly covered by her large yellow tails. Like what you see? The yellow vixen asked and then turned around. The front of her kimono was open around the shoulder, revealing a large amount of her large cleavage. Once again she stretched her shoulder. Ah tilde. Feels so good, she moaned and Kurama could only growl. It was actually really hard to imagine just how voluptuous and beautiful she was. Naruto already got the first look of her naked glory and no matter how he tried, he still couldn't take those images out of his mind. Kurahime was the queen of demon, so maybe he shouldn't expect any less from someone like her. With a few touch of magic, the kimono Naruto created for her became one of the most revealing kimono ever, with the sleeves cut short and the front opened widely. She knew she was beautiful and attractive and wasn't shy to show off her charms. Naruto left his mindscape, knowing that he couldn't reason any more with this stubborn woman. "Okay Ba-chan," Naruto said as he let go of Tsunade's hand. "I think I'm used to it now." Naruto took a deep breath and took his first step, shakily at first. But after his second step, Natuto's legs became much stronger and firmer, as he walked back and forth inside of the room with a huge smile on his face. "Very good," Tsunade nodded her head with a smile. "Now, try walking around the room," she said. She would never expect a child like Naruto to be able to recover that fast. Naruto nodded and started to walk. He couldn't help but smile. After all, this was one of the first steps of his journey to make things right, things that he couldn't do before because he was weak. Knowing what would happen in the future, Naruto could use his power to prevent a lot of things from happening, and do things that he wasn't able to do in the past. As Naruto was walking around the room, his family couldn't help but smile a little at the determination in his eyes. Kushina smiled softly at her son with tears leaking out from the corner of her eyes. She wanted to be the one who was inside that room, helping her son like she did back then when was just a child. She wanted to redeem herself in her son's eyes, to show him that he was just as important as any of her children. When Naruto crossed the window, he couldn't help but stop for a moment and looked at his family. He saw his mother smiling at him behind the glass, with his father's arm around her shoulder, hugging her closely to his body. He couldn't believe that he was given this opportunity, the opportunity of having a family in his life, the thing that he always dreamed of when he was a young child. His parent, alive and well, was smiling softly at him with nothing but love in their eyes. Naruto could also see some regret and sadness from them as well, for what they had done to their son. Naruto couldn't help but smile back at them, especially his mother. Minato and Kushina's smile widened even more when Naruto smiled at them from the other side of the window. The mother put her hand on the glass, where her son was putting his hand onto, and whispered his name softly. His eyes then turned to the young girl standing next to them, but instead of smiling, he frowned. From the information he managed to get from eavesdropping the people talking outside of his room, Naruto got two sisters and they were twin, but one got red hair while the other got blonde hair. He knew that the blonde one was his older sister, Minami Namikaze. For a girl her age, Minami was quite beautiful and attractive. Minami got dark pink eyes and long honey blonde hair that flowed just above her lower back. Her bangs partially crossed her cheeks and go down all the way to her neck. She also got a bust larger than normal, definitely larger than most girls her age. Take a few more years and she was going to become a real heartbreaker. Minami caught his eyes looking at her and smiled at Naruto, waving her hand a little at him with a hopeful expression on her face, but it quickly dropped when Naruto turned back to what he was doing, walking around the room again with a faster pace than before. "He hates me, doesn't he?" Minami said sadly, lowering her face. "Of course not, Minami-chan." Kushina tried to cheer her daughter up with a gentle smile. "There is nothing you should worry about, Minami," Minato said firmly, smiling at his daughter. "Naruto put his life on the line to protect you. I'm sure that among the members of our family you're the one he holds the least grudge against it. If he was hated by Naruto, he would understand, after all the pains and sufferings he had to go through." Minami could only nod her head at her father's comforting words. She didn't care if her father stripped off her position at Konohasu's Kunoichi forever. She didn't. All she cared right now was supporting her brother in order to make up to what she had done to him. Line break. The day Naruto was released from the hospital came faster than he thought. His family was waiting for him outside of the hospital and he couldn't wait to meet and get to know them. Minato managed to get Shikaku take care of the more important jobs for him and cancelled the meeting today in order to be here with his family. Naruto, Kushina smiled softly when he saw Tsunade push the door of the hospital open for her son. The young child excitedly ran out of the hospital toward his family, happy that he was finally released from one of the worst places in his list. "Hey there, son." Minato smiled at Naruto and patted the young boy on his shoulder when the boy stopped in front of them, kneeling down on one knee. "Hey dad," Naruto smiled to his father and turned to his mother, "Hey mom." Naruto, Kushina couldn't help it anymore. She kneed down in front of Naruto and wrapped her arms around his tiny body and bringing him into a tight hug. "I'm so sorry," she sobbed, feeling ashamed of herself. I hoped I could." Hey mom, it's alright," Naruto said softly to his mother. I'm fine, see? He let go off her and grinned widely, showing her that he was perfectly alright. Naruto, what matter is that he's alright now. Kushina. Minato placed a hand on his wife's shoulder, giving her a meaningful look before turning back to Naruto. Son, do you remember what happened that night? A day ago. Tsunade was kind enough to tell him that Naruto didn't remember anything about the night he was nearly killed by Mizuki, which, in the Sanin's opinion, was a good thing. But what worried him was that Tsunade also stated that Naruto lost some of his past memories as well. Tsunade figured maybe it was because of the poison in his system that caused seriously damages to his body, not only physically but also mentally. No dad, Naruto shook his head. It wasn't a lie, but it wasn't the truth either. Naruto knew that he was nearly killed that night in the hands on Mizuki, but what happened before that and afterward was a mystery to him, so he decided to play memories lost for now, in case his family got suspicious after asking questions he didn't know how to answer. Is there something wrong with that? Of course not, Naruto. Minato shook his head, smiling softly at him. I'm glad that you're alright. The boy then turned to his sister, who was paying extra attention to her shoes. If I were you, young lad, I wouldn't act too chummy with that girl, Kurihime sagely advised. My little vessel is very scared of her. If you want to as convince as possible, you should act nervously around her. Now that is what I call helping, Naruto said to her in his mind, if only you could. You're welcome, the vixen giggled, making Naruto sighed before quickly went into the character Kurihime said he should be. Minami glanced up slightly to look at her brother's face and could see the nervousness in his eyes, the same nervousness he got whenever she was around. Even if he didn't remember anything about the accident with Mizuki, she doubted that he forgot all the punches and kicks she gave him for purposing ruining her fun times. Hey, Naruto, Minami said softly to her brother. Hey Oni-sama, Naruto said nervously to his sister before quickly grabbing his mother's hand. He had seen the way Himawari acted around stranger when she was a lot younger, so acting nervously wasn't very hard for him to do. Kushina glanced between her two children with a sad expression in her eyes. Connecting her family together once again wouldn't be as easy as she thought. Let's go home everyone, Minato said, throwing Naruto's basket onto his shoulder and put a hand on Kushina's shoulder. Minami nodded her head before grabbing her mother's other hands. In a flash of yellow the Namikaze family disappeared. It was late in the night, probably midnight, and Naruto Uzumaki was sitting inside his family's manners library, with the massive book of history in front of him. Flipping through page to page, Naruto couldn't help but smile because of what happened this afternoon. Even though he had to act more negative around Minami and Naruto, his younger sister hadn't returned from mission yet, he could still foresee a very happy life ahead of him. For the first time in his life, Naruto understood the feeling of having your parent cared for you feel like. It was truly heartwarming. Naruto felt bad for the other Naruto, but he couldn't blame his family either. What mattered now that Naruto got a second chance in life, as well as Naruto Namikaze, whose emotions merged with him. He got the chance to make things right while his other half got a chance to be loved from his family. Naruto would make sure to live for him as well. Naruto read the history of elemental nations and saw that mostly everything went the same like before. There were many things he didn't understand, like the history of Rikudo Sennin was still the same tale every shinobi known about, while Kurihime said she was the queen of Makai, a whole country of demon, meaning that she and the rest of the Biju wasn't originally separated from Jubi. When he asked her about that, Kurihime kept her mouth shut and changed the topic faster than he ever could. But what shocked him the most was that Sarutobi Hiruzen, the sandaime of Konohagakure no Sato, was the one who sealed Kurihime into the children of Namikaze after knocking his father out when he was about to sacrifice his life. Yet another confusion popped up when he read that Shaku Fuin wasn't the technique he used to seal the golden Kurihime, which remained unknown till this day. All they knew about it was the yin and yang part of chakra was sealed inside the girls while the boy got the soul, at the same time creating a link between them in order to keep the chakra exist and filled up every time Minami and Naruto used up the chakra, which also explained why it took Kurihime so long just to regenerate a fragment of the original amount of her chakra. The downside of this technique was that it couldn't separate Yuki from Kurihime, but overall that must be one of the most powerful Fuinjutsu Naruto had ever read about, if not wanted to say the strongest. The reason why Kurihime attacked Konoha on her own was still unknown. It was stated in the book that the Golden Kitsune traveled thousands miles before arriving at Konoha and unleashed the might of her power. Surprisingly, the Uchiha massacre never happened in this universe. Uchiha Itachi and Uchiha Shisui were his mother's students, and they were currently working at his father's most trusted and personal bodyguards, being one of the strongest and most talented Enbu in the history of Konoha. But this wouldn't stop Orochimaru from aiming for Sasuke. About his family, Minami and Naruto were called Uchina Shisui and Uchiha Itachi's second coming. Graduated from the academy at the age of 7 at the top of their class, with Minami being the more extraordinary one. At age 10 they passed the Chunin exam and Naruto was promoted to Junin just a few days ago. He heard that his father stripped Minami off her position at a kunoichi of Konoha, which was kind of harsh in his opinion. Then again, he would do the same thing if one of his children treated the other like what she did. Minami had to understand that they are a family of shinobi. Closing the book, Naruto yawned tiredly. Naruto closed the book and headed back to his room. How this future was going to turn out for him, Naruto didn't know, but all he cared was making it better than his world. There were deaths he could prevent, life he could save, things he could stop. And most of all, he could return Hinata's feeling from this point. Perfect, Naruto Uzumaki, now Namikaze said with a wide smirk, crossing his arms on his chest while nodding his head in satisfaction, looking around the room used to belong to his counterpart. The blank white wall of his room was replaced with orange color wallpapers, which he found last night the storage house of Namikaze residence. It took Naruto some time to put them on the wall with his tiny size, but after 2 hours of working since 4 in the morning, the blonde finally changed the room to his liking. Orange? Kurihime asked inside of his mindscape. Yep, best color ever, Naruto said with a smirk, crouching down to gather the unsized wallpapers to roll them into rolls. The other you like yellow more, Kurihime informed him, and please tell me you're not going to wear orange. Kurama let out a small chuckle at the irony. I won't, no need for getting the attention from everyone now, Naruto shook his head, but of course, an orange pants or clothes with orange stripes aren't going to hurt, right? Kurihime groaned. You are shinobi and yet you like to wear orange, bad choice Uzumaki. Hey Kurihime, since when you start to care so much about me anyway? Naruto asked with a sly smirk, catching the golden vixen off guard. Last time I checked, you're not very cooperative with me and Kurama. What with the change of heart? Don't get the wrong idea, human. She spatted before huffing. I don't want to waste my chakra in healing you when you get yourself injured, that is all. Yeah sure. Naruto chuckled. You know all you need to do when something like that happen is letting Kurama channel his chakra to me. Only need to bump our fist together, simple. The orange Kurama nodded his head, but this time Kurihime didn't reply, keeping the huff on her face. Naruto used a rope to tie the wallpaper together before heading out. To say Namikaze residence was massive was a huge understatement. Back then, while he was still living his childhood in his original timeline, Naruto still remembered the day he crossed this mansion every day, wondering what kind of people rich enough to purchase these kind of residence, and imagined himself living in the same place. After the Fourth Great Shinobi War, Tsunade finally revealed the truth about his parent to the village and returned all of his father and mother's inheritance to him. Even though the Uzumaki decided to live outside, Naruto and Hinata constantly returned to the place and do some cleaning and maintaining work so Namikaze residence could keep its best shape, to honor the memories of Naruto's parent and let the next and then the next generations of shinobi to always remember two of the greatest heroes of Konoha. And now Naruto was living in the same place, only in a different world and timeline. He didn't know how Naruto Namikaze felt about this, but this place was very much a place he could call home. When he was about to head down to the first floor, the door to his right was opened and his father stepped out, fully dressed up in his Hokage's attire. Oh, hey Dad, Naruto greeted him cheerfully, making the Yondaime Hokage to widen his eyes in surprise. Naruto. What are you doing so soon in the morning? Minato asked before glancing his eyes to the rolls of paperwalls in his hands. Is that my old paperwalls? This is yours? I used them for my room. Naruto asked and the Hokage nodded his head. Cool, so you like orange too? Yep, but that was before your mother decided to tear them down with her own hands. He chuckled. Don't let your mother see it, she is a serious kunoichi so she hates orange. Yeah, I will. Naruto nodded. See you later Dad. He then turned around and was about to walk down the stair when his dad suddenly appeared beside him and took most of the paper walls away. "Here, let me help you," Minato smiled before walking ahead of them. Naruto was confused at first, but it didn't take him long to realize his father's intention, which he couldn't help but smile. "But wait, Dad, you don't have work today?" he asked, catching up to his father. "Don't worry, Shikaku can handle things for me for a few hours," Minato smiled. "To tell you the truth, I don't really want to go to work these days." Making up for his son Naruto was part of the reason he didn't want to go to work around these times. But, "Oh well, I think I will have your mother's breakfast before heading to my office and bury myself into paperworks again." "Good luck, Dad," Naruto couldn't help but chuckle. He knew that feeling of working with paperworks. While he would like to take care of the more important job himself, if not for the help of his clones, Naruto would never be able to finish most of them on time to return to his house. "Sure, with the Chunin exam coming in near 4 months, I will be extra busy soon." He opened the door of the storage house but turned back to his son with a grin. "But don't worry, I will make sure to spend as much time with my family as possible." But that wasn't something he was concerning about. Wait, Dad. The Chunin exam is coming near in 4 months?" Naruto asked in surprise. He checked the calendar last night and was sure that there was still at least 2 months till the Chunin exam according to his original world timeline, which was not enough time for him to prepare and get back to his best shape. You know what the Chunin exam is all about, right?" Naruto nodded his head slowly before stepping into the storage house, still couldn't believe the Chunin exam was going to take place in 4 months. While he was still wondering how he was going to get stronger than a Sannin in just 4 months, not to mention he needed to get past the academy graduate exam, finishing enough missions and get his teacher's approval. His eyes then picked up a training dummy lying at a corner of the storage room. "That's Minami's old training dummy," Minato informed when he saw Naruto's eyes. "She used to train with it when she was 3 years old." He trailed off at the last part with a sad expression on his face. He didn't know if Minami would try to become a kunoichi again, but if she decided to do so, he got nothing against it because Konoha needed young talent like her. He knew that it was kind of harsh stripping her off her rank like that, but after what she had done to make this family fell apart, punishment needed to be done, daughter of Hokage or not. But like his wife, Minato knew that he was the one at fault here, not just his daughter. "Can I borrow it?" Naruto asked, walking to the dummy and look at it. "Sure, go ahead." He then got a brilliant idea. "I got some kunai here. Want to test your throwing skills?" A massive smile spread out on Naruto's face when he heard that. "Now be careful, Naruto, you've just recovered," Minato said loudly from the sideline. He got no doubt for Tsunade's skills in treating his son, but it wouldn't hurt if he felt a little worry about this. "Sure, Dad," Naruto said with a smirk, swirling the kunais he was holding around. He got 3 of them in his left hand and 1 in his right, ready to launch. Like with his previous condition, his counterpart was also a dead last, not just any dead last but the worst ninja in the history. Naruto failed his exams because he didn't know how to control the massive amount of chakra inside, but his counterpart failed even before reaching ninjutsu test. After all, Naruto Namikaze was too busy to get his family's attention and dodge Minami. But of course, Kurihime was the one who was kind enough to fill him in those informations. "Here go." Naruto took a deep breath and tried to recall the way of throwing a kunai. He didn't have his muscles memories with him, so he would have to let his mind guide him. Bringing his hand back, Naruto threw the first kunai toward the target's head. It was nowhere as fast as his original throwing speed, but still quite fast for his age. The kunai hit the center of the target. "Good," Minato nodded his head with a smile, but he couldn't help but feel a little strange about his son's sudden growth in skill. He read the old report from the teachers at the academy about his son last night and knew that Naruto was a dead last in his class in all subjects, including weapons throwing. It seemed that his hair and eyes wasn't the only thing that changed. He needed to tell Tsunade about this soon, to see if that poison Mizuki used on his shuriken had any side effects. "Let's do this," Naruto suddenly said, and to his father's shock, he threw all 3 kunai in his left hands at once and all 3 of them soon found its way to the target's center. "Awesome," the younger blonde muttered with a wide smirk. This could only mean that his mind wasn't as rusty as he thought. This could be something so normal with a more skilled genin, but to someone who was still one of the worst shinobi in the history 2 months ago, this was something absolutely abnormal. How is that, Dad? Naruto asked, pointing his hand at the dummy. Good, Naruto. Minato nodded his head slowly. I didn't know that your aim is extraordinary. Not only that, but he could see that Naruto took very little time to aim, something not a normal genin could do. Dad, you think I will be able to make it to Chunin exam in 4 months? That question left Minato completely lost for words. Dad, you think I will be able to make it to Chunin exam in upcoming 4 months? That question left Minato completely lost for words. Did his son seriously just ask that? Sorry son, but that is impossible. Minato shook his head sadly. You're still not even genin yet and I can't use my position to lend you any help. He then walked to his son with a smile, kneeling down in front of him and put a hand on his shoulder while the other on the top of his head. But don't worry Naruto, next year I'm sure you will become a splendid ninja. He smiled. Would you like to let me help you Naruto? If you want, I can train you. Really? Naruto asked brightly. Thanks Dad. He moved forward and hugged his father tightly, like any child would do. However, his mind was currently working overload, trying to figure it out the best way to sneak into the forest of death to prevent Orochimaru from aiming his fangs to Sasuke. Breakfast is ready. They heard Kushina's voice and turned around to see her standing with her back leaning against the door with a smile on her face, wearing a yellow apron around her waist. Minato, Naruto. Come on, we shouldn't let your mother waiting. Minato chuckled and walked with Naruto into the house. Naruto sneaked out of his house as soon as he finished breakfast and his mother, who literally filled his plate full of foods right after he finished it, took his eyes away from him. Naruto ran as fast as his legs could carry him on the streets of Konoha, taking in every details of the village he always loved and swore to protect. Everything was more or less exactly like he remembered it to be. The annoyed glares, the way the people whispering to each other behind his back. He almost forgot that this was the way they treated him before he became their hero. But Naruto didn't care, only wore a smile on his face as he waved his hand cheerfully to each and every single one of them, getting a lot of confused looks from the villagers. Hey Tuchi Oji-san, Ayame Ne-chan. Naruto greeted the chef of Ichiraku Ramen and his daughter cheerfully while running past the small stand. He got no doubt that no matter world it was, Ichiraku Ramen would stay the same as well as the owners of the place. Naruto-kun, watch out. Ayame called out to him but it was too late. When he returned his eyes to the front his whole body crashed onto someone and as soon as that happened, they wrapped their hands around his body and turned around, throwing Naruto away several feet. The blonde gasped out in shock and tried to turn himself around, landing roughly on his feet and fell on his ass. Oi, watch where you are running blondie. He heard a shout and looked up and almost dropped his mouth to the ground in shock. It was Enko Mitarashi but she wasn't the Tokubetsu Junin he remembered. It was a much younger version of the sadistic purple-haired girl. Sure she was still wearing the same kind of revealing attire but other than the different in age. Probably about the same age as Minami the oldest between the 3 siblings but he was sure that it was Enko. And standing around her was no doubt her best friends and to his shock again, they were younger. Kurenai Yuhi, Hana Inuzuka and Yugo Izuki. These were the 4 most dangerous kunoichi during their time, absolutely powerful in their very own way. Well, isn't that the son of Yondaime-sama? Anko recognized him and bended down to his level. What with that? Naruto asked, rather annoyed by the way Anko was looking down on him. We're wasting our time here, Kurenai muttered emotionlessly, crossing her arms underneath her chest. Yugo just looked away while Hana kneeled down and patted her ninjin softly on his head. I heard your hairstyle changed but didn't think that you could become this cute. Anko commented, smirking at Naruto, yellow and red sure suit you. Oh okay then. Naruto nodded his head and stood up, dusting himself. Run while you still can Naruto, Kurihime suddenly said inside of his mindscape. Those 4s are Minami's best friends. Or should I say your sister's loyal puppies and they took great pleasure in picking on you, especially Anko. And before you decide to open a blood path to escape, they're a lot stronger than Chunin level. Oh shit, Naruto said in his mindscape. Glancing down he saw Anko's hand twitching slightly and a very familiar hissing sound could be heard. Well, if you excuse me, I need to. He turned around and about to turn away when suddenly Anko appeared behind him with a kunai at his cheek. Oh no, you don't. Anko smirked, caressing the flat edge of her kunai against his cheek. It's quite some time since our last fun and you're just way too cute to resist right now. A little help here Kurama, Kurihime. Naruto said inside of his mind. Last thing he needed would be having these fours prank him in the middle of the street or get bitten by a poisonous snake, which he got a feeling one was getting into his shirt from the inside of Anko's sleeve. Oi Vixen, show me your fist? Kurama demanded, raising his fist. Our vessel is in serious trouble here. You sure? Kurihime flicked Kurama's hand away. On the second thought, she suddenly put a finger underneath her lip and said, going in a thinking pose, I don't like snake that much so I will help you guys this time. Naruto widened his eyes at her speech and immediately appeared inside his mindscape, standing on top of Kurama's head next to the golden Kyuubi. Now that is how things work, Naruto said, nodding his head and brought out his fist. Don't get the wrong idea, human, Kurihime said, crossing her arms together and bumped her right fist onto Naruto's, showing the other to Kurama. This is the one-time thing, a one-time thing. Remember that? Tsunere, I see. What was that? Nothing, Naruto chuckled. Let's do it, Kurama. I only need to get away from them so 0.0001% should be alright. Kurama nodded his head and bumped his fist against Kurihime. At the outside world, Naruto smirked when he felt the familiar power of Kurama's chakra flowed within his body. However, before he could transform and disappear before any of them could even hope to see, Anko suddenly released him and stepped back. Huh? Naruto asked, turning around to look at the snake user. Oh my, good morning, Hyuga Hinata-sama. His eyes nearly fell out of his socket when he heard that respectful greeting from Anko, and even more surprised when he saw the four kunoichi lowered their head down a little. Taking a deep breath, with his heart pounding against his chest, Naruto turned to his right to face the reincarnation of the love of his life. But the girl standing in front of him wasn't the Hinata Hyuga, the loving yet timid and shy dark blue-haired girl who poured all her heart into supporting Naruto from behind. He remembered. At the first glance, Naruto could tell that she was the same Hinata he loved, with dark blue hair, fair skin, and gentle facial features. Traits that he heard she inherited from her mother and later passed down to their daughter Himawari. Her hair was in the traditional leveled hime-cut style just above her forehead. However, much like her older self in his original timeline, her hair was no longer short but grown down to reach her lower back, and the bangs framing her face was grown to shoulder length. Her attire was also different than the original. Hinata was wearing a light lavender, sleeveless kimono-style blouse with vertical lines, tied with a dark purple obi around her waist. She wore a pair of short dark navy shorts with thigh-high stockings, revealing parts of her upper thighs, and has changed her regular black ninja sandals. And did he mention that she looked a little older than him? Hinata was even taller than him by nearly a head, something that never happened before in the original timeline. Even when he was considered short for his age during childhood, he was still taller than Hinata. But something that Naruto could notice right away was that Hinata was standing in front of him with the lack of her usual shyness. The way she was carrying herself, the way her beautiful lavender eyes was looking around, reminded Naruto greatly of the ways of the royal princesses. Oh yeah, this girl is little Namikaze's crush, Kurihime said, making Naruto widen his eyes. Hopefully you won't fall into his step. Even though you're the Hokage's son, that girl is way out of your league. Guess things are much different than we thought, Kurama grumbled. The changes was getting to his nerve and he didn't like it one bit, and either was Naruto. There were two branch members of Hyuga clan standing behind Hinata, and it didn't take him long to realize they were her bodyguards. Since when did Hinata need bodyguards? Hinata, Naruto muttered softly, but then realized her bodyguards were glaring at him. It seemed they got problem with the way he was addressing her. Naruto-san. He almost flinched in surprise when Hinata greeted him so formally like that. How do you do? I heard about the accident with Mizuki-sensei. I hope you're alright now. Yeah, I'm good now, Naruto chuckled while scratching the back of his head. If the alien Oji-san was here, he would have to punch him in the face for saying Hinata was the Samph. As far as he could see, she was anything but a shy, confident young girl. I'm glad, Hinata nodded her head, yet she didn't smile or show any positive emotion other than a complete blank face. I hope you will pass your upcoming exam, Naruto-san. Konoha needs talent shinobi like you. He heard Anko and Hana snorted next to him but paid no mind. Hinata, however, wasn't. Do you have any problem with that? She asked emotionlessly. Of course not, Hime-sama. Kurenai stepped up before Anko could open her mouth and shook her head. Then I will take my leave. See you later, Naruto-san, Hinata said before turning around and walk away. What was that? Naruto asked himself, his eyes still staying on Hinata. Damn! This is the who know how many times she got in our way. Anko said, crossing her arms together, Hyuga and their holier than those attitude. She then turned around to look at Naruto. Now, let's. Where did he go? But the blonde already wisely retreated, disappeared before Anko could start her favorite bullying little Naruto. Meanwhile, Naruto was heading to the third training ground and finally arrived at the place in just a few minutes. He didn't know why, but this body, while physically weaker than his original, could run quite fast, faster than Naruto could do when he was around this age. Okay, time to learn about myself, Naruto muttered and reached his back pocket and pulled out a small, yellow book. It was his doppelganger's journal. Naruto was quite surprised when he found Naruto Namikaze's diary this morning while changing his room paper walls. It was hidden very carefully underneath his clothes inside the wardrobe. Naruto never needed a journal to begin with, but with this book, he would come to learn about his counterpart, as well as his life better, and soon be able to blend in this new world without getting unwanted attention and questions. Naruto opened the book and flipped over a few pages. It seemed Naruto Namikaze got to write this journal from a very young age, maybe as soon as he learned how to write. He could see that the poor boy poured all of his saddened heart into writing this. Naruto saw some pages with shaking, unreadable words as if his hand was shaking while writing them, no doubt crying about the lack of attention from his own family. Aside from that, Naruto learned a lot of things about his family. Like the history book said, Minami and Naruto started their training at a very young age, under their parents' guidance, and soon earned Itachi and Shisui's second comings with their genius-level intelligent and kunoichi skills. They was also taught in using Kurohime's chakra by Minato and Jiraiya, and in his doppelganger's words, scary-looking red cloaks of chakra with tails. Meaning that they didn't go through the same trials at him to get rid of Kurohime's hatred, something that he saw the Golden Vixen shared with Kurama. This could be a bad thing because if they reached the fourth tails, those two could go into berserk state and hurt anyone around them, which he would need to keep an eye on that matter as well. On the second note, like Kurohime's words, the four infamous Ice Queens of Konoha were indeed Minami's best friends. They formed their little group with each other at the age of 4 in the academy and became great friends with each other since then. Like his sister, they soon got used to bully Minami's little brother. Surprisingly, Kurenai was the one who tried to be nice to him, but the raven-haired girl always tried the scarier genjutsu on him. He was like a test subject or something like that. Anko was the one he scared the most, as she always scared him with those snakes of hers before laughing her ass off. Yugo most of the time ignored him, but when she was in the mood, she geared him up with thick body armors and started to train with a wooden sword, with him at her training dummy. Lastly, Hana made him take care of her triplet ninja, and surprisingly, Naruto befriended them, and the three dogs were really nice to the young boy. To make it simple and easy to understand, those four were 4 bitches. Naruto couldn't help but smirk when he thought about just how many good pranks he could pull on them. Naruto then flipped to the next page, and this one took his interest. It was the first encounter between him and Hinata when he was 7 years old. I am to refer between Naruto Uzumaki and Naruto Namikaze, so I will let Naruto refers the other at himself for now. I met Hinata Hime for the first time today. She is just like the rumors said, so beautiful. I mean, of course she is beautiful. Hinata Hime is the princess of Konoha, right? I mean one of the 2 princesses of Konoha. Minami Oni-sama is the other one, but oh well, my sister got nothing on Hime-sama. Naruto couldn't help but chuckle at this. True, while Minami was very beautiful, she got nothing on his girl. I heard that she was tutored at home so she couldn't come to the academy, until now that is. There was this high-class aura around her that kept commoners away, kind of scary to say the least. She was so smart, Hinata Hime could answer all the question Iruka-sensei gave to her, incredible strong too. She beat her training partner in a single move. I didn't know how, but I wish I can be just like Hime-sama. But she wasn't scary like I thought. Hinata Hime is very kind to me. I was bullied again by Oni-sama's troop today, but before Kurenai could cast a genjutsu on me again, Hime-sama appeared and saved me. We talked, can you believe it? I talked with the Hyuga princess of Konoha and told her most of my life. She sat next to me and patiently listened to my story. I guess kind of like a leader listened to their people's words, but that was something very special to me. When I said I couldn't become a good ninja like my sisters or even my parents, she said she wanted me to try harder and encouraged me to become stronger. I didn't know if I could do it. But she said she had faith in me. She believed that someday I will become a great ninja just like my dad and my mom. Hinata Hime was the first person who said those kinds words to me, and it meant a lot to someone like me. Something in me changed today. I won't disappoint her. I will try harder to become the great shinobi like she wanted me to become. Naruto read on, flipping through pages, and could see that from that day Hinata was the main interest of his journal, as if their positions had been switched in this world, with him being the stalker and the one who running behind Hinata. Hinata was the one who constantly saved him from Minami and her troop, stopping them from bullying him any further. He failed his first exam when no one was there for him. Hinata was the one who came to his side and encouraged him to try harder. But it only made him sadder because Hinata came to him with the headband tied around her neck. He then failed his second exam. Hinata once again encouraged him. She even gave him useful tips to become stronger, told him things he needed to pay attention to if he wanted to pass the test. He failed the third time, and yet Hinata still told him that the faith she put in him would never change or be shaken. Naruto closed the book and let out a long sigh. Hinata never stopped loving him, even if he didn't pay any interest to her for nearly 19 years of his life. Hinata never stopped believing in him, even when he showed himself to be the worst ninja in the history, who failed the final exam 3 times. When no one was there for him, she silently supported him. "You're right, Oji-san," Naruto said with a small smile, leaning his back against the wooden log he used to be tied to. "She is the same Hinata I love." He stood up and pulled out a long black cloth from the inside of his pocket and tied it around his forehead. "Let's start training," he said determinedly, and went to work. He got schooled today, but meh, who cared about that when you already knew everything like the back of your hands? Line break. "Mom, I'm home." Naruto flicked his shoes away from his feet, giving the servants who were walking the front door a warm welcome before running inside, heading to the dining room where no doubt his mother was at. But he stopped when he saw the one standing beside the kitchen wasn't his mother, but his older sister Minami Namikaze. "Hey, Ne-sama," he said, unsure of how to act around this girl. Sure, he was supposed to act a little nervous around Minami, but it felt wrong, somehow. Naruto? Minami almost dropped the knife she was using to cut the meat when she saw her brother. "Hey." She grabbed the falling knife and smiled nervously at him. "Where's Mom?" he asked, looking around. "She is out of the village for a mission. So I will be the one cooking for you and Dad tonight." She stuttered and quickly turned around to continue her work, a little faster than before. "Oh, I see." Naruto nodded his head and sat down on the dining table. "I didn't know that you can cook," he said. The journal was rather detailed about his life, and Minami's cooking wasn't mentioned. "Mom taught me the basic," Minami replied, heating up the pan after pouring the oil into it. "I can cook a simple meal, but that is all." Naruto nodded his head but didn't say anything more than that. An unfamiliar feeling suddenly appeared within Naruto, and that was the feeling of disliking. The other half of his soul was reacting again, and this time it was showing negative emotions toward Minami. Personally, he got no problem with her, but he doubted that the one who fused with him didn't. The two remained silent for a long moment before Minami decided to speak up. "Naruto, save it," he instantly replied, already knew what she wanted to say. "You're mad at me, aren't you?" she asked with a sad voice. "I'm not mad. I'm only disappointed. Most of the reason why this family fell apart was because of Minami and her spoiled personality." "I understand." Minami lowered her head, saddened by this. Naruto then got the journal out of his porch and tore a paper, got a pen and wrote down a few words before folding it into a plane and throw it toward Minami. The paper plane got the blonde attention and she caught it out of curiosity. Her eyes widened in shock and almost tear up when she saw the words wrote neatly on one of its wing. "If you want to fix your mistakes, start from now. I believe in second chance. But the question is, do you?" Naruto smiled in satisfaction and leaned back against his chair. Yep, he believed in second chance more than anyone. Man, That was good, Naruto said in satisfaction while opening the door of his room. Who could have think that his elder sister could make such a fine dinner like that? Hello? He flinched in shock and instantly pulled out a kunai to counter any assault when he heard that unfamiliar voice inside of his room. Who the hell? What the? Naruto asked but trailed off when he saw a voluptuous young woman with golden blonde hair and matching golden eyes, wearing the tradition Miko outfit with white tabi and red hakama, sitting traditionally on his bed while sipping a cup of hot tea in her hands. At least, he thought that it was tea she was drinking. But the shocking thing was that she looked almost the same as the golden Kyuubi sealed inside his body, almost like a carbon copy, with 2 foxy ears on top of her head and 9 golden fur tails resting on the bed behind her. Yasaka, Kurihime squealed out in a high-pitched tone inside of his mindscape. Naruto, is everything alright up there? He heard his father's voice and quickly acted. Yeah dad, everything is alright. He called out loudly and, after seeing no hostile action from the golden-haired woman, quickly stepped into his room and closed the door behind him. Right, tell me, who are you and what business do you have with me? Naruto asked loudly, still having his kunai in his hands, and also, how did you be able to get into my room? The woman half opened her eyes to look at him for a moment before she put away the cup of tea. Putting both of her hands traditionally on the bed in front of her, she bowed her head slightly to him, saying with a polite tone, "My name is Yasaka, Princess of Makai," she introduced politely, "and I'm here for my mother, the one who is being sealed inside you." His eyes widened after hearing her saying that. By the way, the door wasn't locked. You're Kurihime's daughter? Finally, after a long moment of silence, Naruto decided to be the one who opened up first, and he asked that as if Yasaka wasn't telling the truth. Why yes I am. Yasaka nodded her head, looking straight at him in the eyes. Well, I thought you might be her twin sister or something, but... He put his weapon away, seeing no hostile intention toward him, other than she said she came here for her mother, I mean, no offense or something, but... He spoke up a little louder so that Kurihime would be able to hear him as clearly as possible. Wow. I mean, it's kind of hard to believe. Completely speechless. Naruto said that while cracking madly. His mind was still trying to absorb the information. The mighty Kyuubi. The evil vixen. Daughter. He tried to bite in the laughter, but it was actually hard to stop letting out the sounds. Speechless, Kurama couldn't help but agree. Your point? Both vixens asked at once, with Yasaka being the humbler one. No offense, but it is hard to believe that there was a guy actually managed to put up with Kurihime, Naruto said sagely, crossing his arms on his chest. What do you mean by that, you motherfuck? But Naruto quickly shut the link between them for a second so that he wouldn't have to hear what Kurihime was going to say next, even though he knew perfectly what it was. The golden Kyuubi was completely exploring inside of his mindscape, her face red with anger and her tails flaring around her wildly. Do you even know how lucky you are when a woman like me took a single glance at your pathetic face? She cried out in absolute anger and completely transformed into her true form. That does it. Come in here, human, so I can kill you. The golden fox bounced her head against the bars madly. Sigh. That is why I don't bother to care about human and their business in the first place. Kurama released a long sigh and rested his chin against the back of his hands. His tails shot out and wrapped around Kurihime's necks and legs, immobilizing her. Keep your damn voice down, vixen. You wanna pick a fight? You less Kyuubi? Kurihime screamed out in pure anger, trying to free herself from Kurama's tails by flaring her Yuki out from her body in hope of hurting him. Yuki was like poison to chakra. And Kurama was a mass of chakra, so the other half of her power was very poisonous to his body and could seriously weaken him. However, that trick won't work anymore. A faint red glow emitted around Kurama's tails, preventing the golden aura from touching the orange tails. Keep her like that for now, Kurama, Naruto said to his partner before returning his attention to Yasaka, who was pouring tea into her cup from a teapot she brought out from who knows where. I never know my father, he died in the previous Makai Civil War. Yasaka said calmly, bringing the teacup to her lips. Oh, I didn't mean to. Don't worry, Naruto Namikaze. It was a very, very long time ago. The blonde woman said softly, tea? She turned her eyes to his table, where a single cup of tea was standing. He didn't see it there when he stepped into his room. Thank you, Naruto said gratefully before taking the cup of tea, But he didn't drink it right away but pulled the chair from his table toward the bed and sat down in front of Yasaka. So, you actually Kuraheim's daughter? Why yes I am. The vixen nodded her head. Her fox ears moved slightly. Everyone always said I look a lot like my mother, sometimes mistook us as twin. But that was the first time a human gave me that kind of compliment. She took the cup of tea away from her lips and held it in her hands. My mother showed you her human form, didn't she? Yeah, Naruto nodded his head. That means she trusted you more than you think. Naruto Namikaze, Yasaka said with a small smile. Normally she would never reveal her true form to human. I doubt that, Naruto pointed out. Kurihime? Trust him? No way in hell. She did that probably for distraction, so she could have the pleasure of punching him in the face. Who knew how much that vixen hate him? Anyway, Naruto Namikaze. Naruto, you can call me Naruto. He cut her off with a smile. You're a lot nicer than your mother, I must say. I will take that as a compliment, Yasaka smiled at him. And you also a lot mature than a normal 13-years-old boy, Naruto, soon to be shinobi or not. You see, my situation forced me to mature faster than normal, it wasn't a lie. When he was young he could act a little immature, but Naruto was never a naive or light-hearted one. When you were growing up in a village that hate you and forced to take care of yourself for most of your childhood, you would have to grow up faster and be more mature, just to survive the harsh world you were thrust into. I see, Yasaka nodded her head. Yasaka, you said you come here for your mother. Naruto said slowly, keeping his eyes on the daughter of Kurihime. You don't mean to, you know. It wouldn't be a surprise if Yasaka's next action was using some kind of technique to pull her mother out of him, killing Naruto in the process. With his current state of power, there was very little thing he could do stop it. Yasaka was Kurihaime's daughter. He would never feel surprise if turned out she was just as strong as her mother, who was more than powerful to begin with. His only option was his father. Maybe he could scream out and his father could be here in an instant to save him. Unseal the seal. The Sandaime Hokage of Konoha used to trap my mother's soul in her body, if that is what you meant to say. To his surprise, Yasaka shook her head and gave him a smile. Of course, even if I want to do that, I cannot. For now at least. What do you mean? Any forcibility action to pull a Biju out of the Jinchuriki will kill the Jinchuriki. I know, Naruto nodded his head. Yes, it will kill you if I forcefully pull my mother out of your body. Yasaka said, Naruto, you are the son of Yandaime Hokage of Konoha. Doing something like that literally mean a declaration of war between Makai and elemental nations. I can risk the chance of exposing my world to yours, even if it is for my mother, the queen of Makai. Shinobi is very powerful beings, starting a war with elemental nations. The vixen shook her head. Even if we can come out with the win, pains, sufferings, lost will be made not just for you human, but for us Yukai as well. Then why did you come here? Naruto asked with his eyes and tone softened. This woman in front of him, she was more than just a princess of a world of demons. I come here so that I can study the seal as closely as possible. So I will figure it out a way to get my mother out of you without killing you, Naruto. Yasaka smiled at him again. I did a lot of research in humans Fuinjutsu, but the seal the Sandaime Hokage used. It is too complicated even for my knowledge. I spent 13 years trying to figure it out, the jutsu he used, but I never be able to do it, not even close. So Naruto. She put both of her hands together in front of her and bowed her head low, much to his surprise. Please. Let me stay here so that I can study the seal directly. Makai needs its queen. I need my mother back. Hey Yasaka, please don't bow your head like that. Naruto jumped to the floor and put his hand on the golden-haired woman's shoulder, smiling softly at her. Of course, you can stay here and study the seal. He smiled at her. Just make sure no one will see you, alright? I will, Naruto. Yasaka looked at him and smiled warmly. Thank you. Who could have thought Kurihaime's daughter was such a humble and polite woman? For some reason, the golden vixen inside him was quiet for the whole time. Line break. Naruto Namikaze was skipping the academy since he was not interested in learning anything from there. Since he realized that there are only 4 months left for the upcoming Chunin exam. He was doing training in training ground. He was not concerned about studies but rather about his body condition. He is weak. He is no longer a chakra monster but a Yukai monster. He now possessed 2 attributes in his command, which were chakra and Yukai energy. While he had full grasp of chakra, He cannot activate it because the chakra and Yukai energy are poisonous to each other. If he commits a little mistake he will die. Not only this but his other half was weaker in body and ninjutsu learning he also lacks physical stamina. While learning chakra his other half ended up spreading inefficient balance of Yukai energy in his body, due to this he had suffered from improper growth. Physically Naruto Namikaze's body was the same as his and even without Kurama's chakra this time, the amount of chakra inside of him was still as huge as before including Yukai energy. But compared to his original, the stamina and endurance was nowhere near close. Naruto spent days of running away from the Anbu and Chunin who caught him while he was trying to pull some pranks, but this body was untrained, not even close. He spent all days at the training ground, doing only his basic genin level exercise, chakra control and shadow clone and returned to his house to have dinner with father and sister before sneaking out through the window again and didn't return till sunrise. He barely slept but he didn't need to. He was doing everything he could to push his body to the limit. He doubted that he would be around Kakashi's level at the end of this week. His physical strength, however, was a different story. He physically becomes strong to manageable level but he can no longer create shadow clone army because it may end distortion of Yukai energy in his body leading him to health-related problems. He was cursing Sandaime Hokage for making his other half-life worse, because he sealed the Yukai fox deity in his body. Naruto, please rest, Yasaka called out loudly from the sideline. She had been watching Naruto this whole time and was quite surprised to see a child could push himself this far. You're pushing yourself way too far. This was after all the first time she was here to watch him train. Yasaka returned to her home at Makai for 2 days to gather her belongings as well as her research about Naruto's seal and only unofficially moved into Naruto's house this morning. She was now resided in the room next to his and for some reason Minami and his father never came, or even cared to look at that room again. From what he heard in the bedtime story for children, Kitsune Yukai was the master in deception, tricks and illusions, so maybe Yasaka used some of her tricks to avoid his family's attention. Sorry, can't do that Yasaka. Naruto shook his head and crossed his fingers in a very familiar hand seal. I need to get stronger as fast as possible. I may not change the tragedy of my friend's fate but with my knowledge and skills, I might be able to turn it in different direction. Yasaka jumped in shock when she saw at least 30 Naruto appeared on the training field, her mouth completely dropped to the ground in shock. She spent years of researching on shinobi's powers. While paying more attention to Fuinjutsu Yasaka allowed herself to gain some more knowledge from learning about various kinds of ninjutsu. She knew everything about Kage Bushin and its benefits, as well as its downsides, and yet Naruto was able to summon 30 of them after training for hours and didn't look any less tired. The clones then parted away after receiving orders from the original. Naruto then approached Yasaka and sat down in front of her. I think you should start with the seal now, Yasaka. Naruto said and was about to remove his shirt when suddenly Yasaka shot her hand out to stop him, wrapping her hand around his wrist. What's wrong? What I am thinking anyway. Yasaka chuckled softly, more to herself than to Naruto. You desire power, aren't you? In a way, yes. Naruto nodded his head, but I want it not for myself, but for my friends. And what about my mother? Surely she will have some words in this. She said I'm wasting my time. Naruto said blankly, making Yasaka giggle. She said there is no way for me to get as strong as my father in a week. I will get myself killed before I know it and she will have to step in and use her chakra to heal me, just so that she wouldn't have to experience death for the first time. And as expected, Kurahime, who was making herself comfortable on Kurama's head, huffed and turned her head away. Figure my mother would say something like that. Kurahime's daughter giggled. But, how about I lend you some help? To repay your kindness of allowing me to study the seal directly? What? Naruto widened his eyes in surprise. Yasaka, you don't need to. Shish, I don't need to, I want to. The golden-haired woman said, you accepted to go through all the trouble so that I can reunite with my mother again. That is something I'm very grateful about. You even allow me to stay inside your house. Helping you getting stronger as fast as possible will be the least thing I can do to repay your kindness, Yasaka said with his hand between hers. Wow. I didn't know what to say. Naruto chuckled while scratching the back of his head. In my opinion you're a lot more mature and wiser than your mother. Wow. I didn't know what to say. Naruto chuckled while scratching the back of his head. In my opinion, you're a lot more mature and wiser than your mother. My mother is the one who taught me everything, she doesn't want to show it much and prefer to stick to her yukai's nature. A mischievous vixen? Yasaka smiled before bringing one of her hand out with her palm facing upward. Magically a leaf then fell down to her open palm. Oh right, that room. Kurihime groaned dramatically while slapping her face. Yasaka then brought her hand near her mouth and blew on the leaf softly, making the leaf to fly away. It then glowed in an ethereal golden light. Whoa! Naruto whispered in amazement when a door, a simple-looking wooden door with a doorknob, appeared from thin air. What was that? Shinobi have ninjutsu. Yukai have yujutsu? Yasaka smiled and stood up, bringing Naruto with her. Let's go. Behind that door is the shortcut to the power you desire. Yasaka reached her hand out for the doorknob and opened it slowly. Naruto raised his hand to cover his eyes from the blinding light appeared from the space behind the door, walking into it with the older woman. The moment Naruto stepped into the room Kurihime talked about, he gasped with his eyes as wide as dinner plate. Because it was no ordinary room. When he went on the mission to save Hinata from Toneri, Naruto didn't have much time to look at the galaxy or the constellations, but he did get the basic of the world outside of the Earth. Everything around him, from the sky to the ground, was the space itself, with stars, constellations. Everything Naruto saw during the fight between him and Toneri was right around him. It was hard to explain, but everything was dark, yet he was able to see everything very clearly, must be because of the light from the stars and galaxies. Naruto glanced down and saw he was standing on the middle of nowhere. He took the first step and the first thing he thought was falling forever, but to his surprise, his foot touched the solid ground even though it wasn't there. What is this room? Naruto looked up and asked Yasaka. Room of the Spirit and Time. This is the place where every leader of Makai trained to become stronger in a short amount of time. Yasaka informed the boy with a smile. Letting go of his hand, 1 year inside the chamber is the equivalent to 12 hours on the outside, meaning 1 month worth in at the outside world. Naruto's eyes nearly shot out of their sockets in shock. For real? Naruto cried out in shock, but more excited than surprise. He could train 1 year in here and yet only 12 hours outside. Yes, with this room, I hope that you will be able to grow stronger, Naruto? Yasaka then waved her hands, making a massive scroll to appear from thin air and fell down the ground in a heavy thud. This is getting out of control, for sure, he heard Kurihime groaned out again inside of his head. Oh. Mommy is so going to enjoy punishing you when get out, little girl. Don't worry Kurihime, I am not going to use this room anyway, but still this is pretty good, Naruto told the vixen before turning his attention to Yasaka. Is this? I take that you know about summoning. Yes, this is my clan summoning contract. Kachiyose no Jutsu is the closest technique between ninjutsu and yujutsu. Yasaka nodded her head. Unlike the summoning animals, Yukai cut all ties with human a very, very long time ago, so the ability to form contract and summon us was lost forever. Unfortunately, if you want to use this room you will have some connection with the clan of the current leader of Yukai, and that would be us, the Kitsune clan. Yasaka then kneeled down and opened the scroll. Naruto was a little surprised to find it completely empty. By signing this contract, you're officially connected to us Kitsune Yukai. You will be able to summon us and borrow our strength in battle, however. She then brought out 3 fingers and said seriously, there are 3 conditions. First, you will have to treat us with respect. That means if you consider us lowly animals like the other summoning, the contract will automatically remove your name from it and bring you the worst kind of fortune for the rest of your life. Second, you will have to promise to never use members of our clan against each other. Lastly, you must also promise to never reveal the truth about our true nature to anyone other than yourself. Can you promise me that, Naruto? I can, but I will not because I am not planning to use this room, Naruto said to Yasaka with a smile. But why? You can learn a lot than your original time, she asked to Naruto. Because no matter how efficient it may be, if my father became suspicious of my extraordinary growth, your people will be dragged in it and this room will be the first thing they will seek, Naruto replied to Yasaka. I understand, but at least you will consider our summoning contract? Yasaka asked with hopeful look in her eyes. It will be my honor to accept the help from the princess of Kitsune clan of Makai country, Naruto replied with a smile. He then turned to the page. How should I sign this? By my blood? Naruto asked humbly. By my blood, Yasaka bit her thumb and offered him her hand. To be able to sign this contract you must have the clan leader's permission as well as her willingness to let you sign it. You actually go through so much to help me, don't you, Haim? Naruto asked, taking Yasaka's hand into his and began to write his name on it. My mother attacked your village, killing many innocent lives and nearly took away your parents' life. Only Kami know how many bad things she brought with her to this village of yours. She shook her head and her eyes in the sad manner. Trying to fix my mother's mistakes, helping you is the least. Hey, you don't need to, you know. Naruto smiled, stopping in midway. There must be a reason behind your mother's action. If she is really your mother, I believe that she won't do anything without a reason, he then said in his mind, am I right? Kurihime. The vixen only turned her body away, pretending to sleeping, but there was a soft smile on her face. Uzumaki Namikaze? Yasaka asked in surprise. But I thought your last name is Namikaze. I'm a Namikaze, but in blood and soul I am Uzumaki Namikaze now, Naruto said with a smile before standing up. I will tell you the real reason behind it some another day, but for the time being. He bit his thumb to draw some blood. Do you know about the hand seals for this jutsu? Naruto nodded and began to form his hands into hand seals. Good. Try summoning your first kitsune, and remember, don't feel any surprise if they are in human form. I will. Naruto smiled and shouted out, Kachiyose no jutsu, and slammed it down to the somewhat non-existence ground. Instead of seals, a golden circle with various strange symbol appeared underneath his hand, releasing a large amount of unfamiliar energy before a massive puff of smoke appeared from his palm. When the smoke died down, lying on the ground appeared to be sleeping was no kitsune yukai but a little girl younger than him for 2 might be 3 years old. Thought Yasaka already warned him about this, so he didn't feel any surprise. She had golden blonde hair that is tied in a ponytail. She also had 9 tiny golden foxtails and matching ears. Her attire was a mini version of Yasaka's, with the sleeves of her haori features a giant red star-shaped pentagram on the sleeves, surrounded by 5 smaller pentagrams in between the points. For some reason, she was a little fam. Kuno? Yasaka said in surprise and kneeled down, put her hand on the girl's shoulder and gently shook her body. Ku-chan. The girl stirred a little before opening her eyes, large golden doe-like eyes with, Mommy? She asked quietly before looking around, fitting her eyes on Naruto. Who is this? Oni-chan? Oh dear, Naruto muttered, finally realized it. I. Even Kurihime was lost for words. Who is the fucker that knocked my daughter up? She screamed out in absolute anger. More and more trouble. Kurama only sighed longingly. Troublesome. Naruto. This is my daughter, Kuno. Yasaka introduced. Kuno. This is Naruto Namikaze and he is the one who is holding your grandmother. The girl looked at him for a moment before shrugging herself out of her mother's arms and ran straight at him, wrapping her tiny arms around his leg and bite onto his thigh, sinking her fangs into his side. Gah! Naruto screamed out in pain as the girl gritted her teeth against his hip as hard as she could. Kuno, what are you doing? Yasaka asked in shock. Ma go. Even though she was biting him, she managed to cry out those incompetent words. Let Oba-sama go. Just what did he get himself into? He was here to fix things and be with Hinata again, he wasn't signed in for this. Meanwhile, at the front gate of Konoha. I wonder if Oni-chan is alright. A redhead whispered softly while walking through the gate of Konoha, returned from an S-rank mission for her father, the Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. Naruto Namikaze had returned to the village.